So hi everyone and welcome to Write Your Narrative. We are back today at the Nucleus studio in the Art of Hip Hop Museum in Wynwood. And my guest today is someone who needs some introduction. She's a young lady. She just told me she was 27. She plays a very, very important part in our community. She is a tour guide in Wynwood Walls, and her name is Alessandra. Alessandra, how are you?
Hi, thank you guys.
All right, so great to have you on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. I am just so grateful that during Art Basel, you approached me when I was recording the podcast at the Peter Tony Experience. I need you to share what you do in this community. I mean, being a tour guide and explaining all these walls and these beautiful Wynwood walls that we have here to the tourists, to the people who come to Wynwood who have absolutely no experience, no idea what they're going to be watching. I mean, this is something. So how did you get a job like this? I mean, this is a dream job. To me, this would be a dream job.
Yeah, it is a pleasure to be in Miami. Well, I am originally born and raised in Lima, Peru. And I got in 2015 here in Miami. And I've always had this passion for the arts since I was like 17. Actually started drawing because anime. And then later on, I decided that it was my dream job to be in the arts. And I studied, I have a VA in arts in DFIU.
Okay.
And then I have a minor in art history in the same field. Because I wanted to get a little bit more scholared. I wanted to have like some kind of introduction to what I was going to have later on. And mind you that I learned English during my time here, during all these 10 years by myself.
Wow.
I got to do everything by myself, actually teach myself how to deal with the classes, the online classes. The pandemic was a huge, like a change. It marked a before and after. So I had to train myself and be like, okay, you got this, you can do this, set myself deadlines. And therefore I was able to, in 2023, to travel to Italy for the study abroad program. Big shout out to my fine arts professor, David Chang, who's a great professor here at FIU and the Fine Art Academy. Nice. So if you ever want to do like the arts, go to the Fine Art Academy over there and you're going to be mesmerized by the beautiful art that they have over here. But I transitioned from that specific scenario to Wynwood because I was looking for a job. And then I ended up getting accepted in Wynwood Walls. But I have a prior experience actually in the actual Art Basel in different areas here in Wynwood. I was showcasing works, working with my fellow classmates in projects, inside exhibitions that I really wanted to, follow through and actually showcase my abilities. But I've never got into graffiti the way that I wanted, like at least not the way that I wanted before, because I was so focused in the fine art world.
Yes.
So I was like, maybe, this could work. And mind you that I've never spoken to a public before. So it was a great combination of spray painting classes, and also actually teaching and educating people when it came to the art, and also blending fine art gallery work with the modernized era of art, which is graffiti, which is like the modern time Renaissance. So I don't know why I never wanted to do that. Maybe I was so focused, like I said, in the fine art that I forgot about that. But there was a point where my teacher from my printmaking professor showed me a video from Swoon,
Swoon, yes.
She's one of my biggest inspirations alongside Gaia. So if they ever happen to watch this, I love them so much. And Gaia and Swoon, and I saw this video of her, and I got in love. I fell in love. I got so mesmerized by her abilities when it came to explaining herself with the medium that she worked in that time. She was working with paper, poster, and some glue. And I can tell you that I fell in love with that. Was my very first approach to street art. And the way that she was communicating her needs and her feelings, it was so genuine that I had to start digging. And when I found out that she was actually a street artist, and it was actually blending in with the street art community that I'm in, right, in Wynwood,
yes,
I got in love.
Yes, well, I remember seeing Swoon and her team doing one of the major wall inside Wynwood Walls. This must have been before you were here in Wynwood, but she used to have an amazing mural where the bicicleta sempre are. This used to be a Swoon wall before.
Oh, really?
Oh, well, yes. Oh, you got to go back
her.
Into the Wynwood Walls book. I mean, this was absolutely something. And I remember watching her and her team. I mean, this is street art on another level. So you are a tour guide in Wynwood Walls.
Yeah.
So for all these people who come to our community, they heard about Miami, they're here on vacation, they might be from anywhere around the world, because I mean, here in Miami, we see people from all around the world. So they come to Wynwood Walls. And what is their first impression that you get when you say, okay, I'm going to give you a tour? Their eyes, their expression, they expect something, or they don't expect what you are about to describe to them?
They were not expecting anything.
They're not, huh?
They were actually mesmerized by everything, and some people, by the amount of the art, they're fantastically overwhelmed by everything. And I'm like, I even mentioned at the end of my tours that it's a lot of information to grasp. But if they ever have any doubts or any questions, that I'm more than welcome to be like an open encyclopedia and help them out.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. That's why your job is crucial in this community. There is a bunch of people who are doing Wynwood Walls. I had Ryan the Wheelbarrow, who also worked with the Wynwood Walls,
He's amazing.
Who's one of your good friends.
Mentor.
He's your mentor. Oh, Ryan, you hear that?
Kind of like that. It's a mentor to every single tour guy. He's been the OG since
he's an OG, yes.
Yeah.
Ryan is definitely an OG. And he's an artist too, like you. So you have that sensibility of an artist. So it's a lot easier to express what your feelings are. And like you say, people ask you questions. So what was the weirdest question you ever had?
The weirdest probably is the one from Bill's, which is the carved. Most people get really shocked by the fact that this is jackhammers included. And he's not your typical artist. He's just going to a different top next level, which he's got like a facade. It's not the actual wall. People think that this is this is the actual building, but it's not. It's this thick, probably 3 or 4 inches, and it was digging really deeply. And people ask me, "Is it going to get removed? Is it going to get sold?" I'm not really sure. That's a really tricky question, because most of these works, they have to get changed every single year. Not at the same time, but they do get changed.
They do, yeah. They usually stay up 3 to 4 years, and then they get renewed.
Yeah.
Which is also a very exciting time of the year when Art Basel is here. We are seeing all these people coming in town and bringing their talents and bringing so many different ways, like you say, of expressing themselves through the art. Like you say, Wills, who's chiseling the walls and everything. It's absolutely incredible. Swoon, who's doing some cutout on papers, a lot of stencil work. And we have people using spray cans. And then now we have sculptures also in the garden, which is also another layer of a street art. And we have Leon Key, who's doing those not 3D, but how do they call it?
Anamorphism.
All right. See, you know your job. You got the exact word.
So it's a little bit of everything.
It's a little bit of everything. So you say the people can only be mesmerized because, I mean, even myself, I've been coming to Wynwood Walls for a little more than 12 years now. I never had a chance to meet Tony Goldman. I met Jessica and her mom many, many times. So talking about the local talents, you are one of the young and upcoming artist. You do some art, and you just told me that you even doing some graffitis.
So right now, nothing on the streets for the graffiti, but for tagging, I just bought this. And this one, I have my own tag, which is vertical. It's hard to explain, but it's my name with an arrow all the way on the bottom. So if you happen to see a purple, or this is like lilac on the streets, that's me. Alessi. That's my street name, actually.
Okay.
But Alessandra is fine. But yeah, so it's like I want to do more. But right now, I'm doing like my private lessons with the people from the Wynwood Walls. Big shout out to my team, which is amazing. Because back then, when I started a year ago, I didn't know much about the arts, about how to handle a spray can. I knew how to, but not with the precision and the ability that I have now. In less than a year, I can guarantee that I can do a masterpiece.
A masterpiece?
Yeah.
All right.
Like this one right here.
All right. Okay. Some wild style graffiti. Okay. Well, I'm sure we can find you a wall here in Wynwood.
I mean, yeah,
it would be a pleasure. Spaces, yes.
It'd be a pleasure because I like to experiment a lot. I've been experimenting with shapes. I've been experimented with different kinds of highlights. The highlights, for example, you go to Coral Gables and you see a lot of art by Vizcaya, the bridge Vizcaya, or by the South Miami. You can see a lot of more graffiti, and they're blending the shadowing and also the highlighting techniques. It's not like your typical line of highlights. It's just dots, or it could be like anything that brings the people's attention, and that's a thing that I've been noticing in Argentina. When I've been before for my trip, I've been noticing a lot of tagging and people doing a lot of statements, because graffiti started as a statement. It didn't start as a very aesthetic thing to look at. And one of my biggest inspirations for those socio-political and regular statements is Basquiat with SAMO, and if you know, you know, right?
Yes.
And how he actually boosted the whole community to the way that we still remember him to this day. And he actually died at my age. He actually died at 27, 28 years old.
Yes, 27. Oh, there's a whole club of the 27 artists. Okay, all right.
Don't worry, so I'm going to be alive by 30. Don't worry.
So this is something that now Wynwood Walls offers some kind of classes on the graffiti in the little back of that those containers. So they have that little special area when people can actually experience themselves and do some little graffiti and hold a can. So I'm sure it's something fun, probably a little more maybe for the youngest one who are less apprehensive. When you get older, you say, no, I cannot do it.
There's different group ages, but for sure kids are very eager to do that. And especially yesterday, we had like canvases. People wanted to do some graffiti on canvases. A little bit more work, but it was worth it. But nowadays we're doing different kinds of classes. We do field trips with the experience. I feel like a total professor from Oxford whenever I do those.
Excellent.
Whenever I do those like little lectures when it comes to like the history of graffiti, which is a thing that it has to remain alive, right? A lot of people.
Oh, it is very alive.
And I think as a local now, Miami-based artist now, I think it's my duty to do that, to actually keep telling people how important this is, just like any other art movement. And since it's modernized, it doesn't mean it's bad or it's not like as good as the other ones. I think every single movement has a purpose, and in this era where we have a lot of technology and a lot of opportunities and different like art mediums that they're not precisely your typical brush and paper, I think it's important to let people know that you can do so much more and you can actually get to the places that you want to be at and many more. So ambition is key, but persistence and trial and error are also important. How you keep exploring to the point that people ask me, how do they come up with this? Like, why jackhammers? Why broken glass? Simon Berger, which is another artist. Why doing the things that they do? Because trial and error is important, because they actually boost your capabilities to the next level. And I think it's important as an artist to know that it's never enough. It's never enough to be like in the same spot.
It's just not. I mean, and this is totally endless. I mean, when you are a creative person, it could be into music, it could be into dance, it could be into art, any different expression of arts. The painting, the graffiti scene, it's something just like, it's mind-blowing sometimes when the people can come up with I did many interviews with some people who were part of the Miami art scene, like Kate's back in the 80s, who's an OG here in Miami. They were just using the regular tips, and sometimes they were cutting some little holes, some things. They had to create those tips, those can tips themselves in order to create more art, to express themselves. Like we have different sizes brushes. Well, since they choose to use a spray paint, they had to create those tips. And they told me that sometimes they were using tips from for some cleaning products because they were wider for some reasons. It's just like, okay, they had to make them fit a spray paint can. But being in Wynwood Walls and meeting these artists, because I'm sure you have during Art Basel, even if you were working, you were looking at them painting and everything. You were, I'm sure you absorbed so much of them, and then you had a chance to meet them in person, which is a lot of people who come to Miami don't always have. So meeting those artists and meeting Martha Cooper also, all these people who've been documenting the street art scene for years, and this is something extremely valuable for you.
I feel like I'm still learning a lot. And I have to.
At 27, of course you're learning. I'm 63 and I'm learning. I'm learning from you right now.
No way.
I am learning from you right now because this is the passion that you have. This is something that you have in you, and I can sense it. I can feel it. That's why when you approached me during Art Basel, this was beautiful because I know I want to give you a voice. You have a voice. You have something to say. So you can voice it, and then you can express yourself through your art, your graffiti, all the different things that you want to say now.
I mean, December time was a key moment in my career as an artist because I worked for Art Basel for 3 years, 2017, 18, and 19 as a host. And I've always heard of Art Basel and Wynwood Walls, but I never thought that I was going to help them out in a way that I could be like helping them out in production and understanding with the questions that I had, which are very technical, because it's normal to see it, but understanding it and getting all the research as much as possible, it's a different thing that I've never thought an artist could be like so open about, right?
Yes.
Especially with L Street Art, she was actually meticulously responding to everybody's questions, giving everybody stickers, taking pictures. She actually signed my book for Art Basel, just like Digital DOS, which is another Dutch artist, which he is amazing.
Absolutely
he never stops.
Yes.
He has this idea that once he finishes one piece, he has to think about the next one, because artists are like about movement. Graffiti is about movement, because I was actually asking one artist, what does the arrow mean? And the arrow means, it could be anything, but in this case, it's about movement and progression. Yes. Like butterflies, they evolve, humans do it too. We are so connected with everything that everything is just a synchronicity of everything in between. So it's not coincidence that we're here talking about my heroes and everything that has been building up to keep for me to keep being able to create and do the things that I do now. If I reflect to my art from a year ago and now, it's totally changed. And I'm glad, because I've never thought that graffiti and spray painting was going to give me the opportunities that I have now. So having that, being an insider, because more than a tour guide, I can tell everybody very specific details that probably they wouldn't have heard from anybody else, because I am very hyper focused on what I do. That's another thing to consider, because when I get in my zone, I just talk and yap and talk until everything has been said, but not really. Nothing much has been ever said about art, because art, since caveman, since the Romans, since the Egyptians, since the beginning of time, and there's not going to be an end. I think even if everybody passes away and it's a new era, people are going to see our sketchbooks and our notebooks and our graffitis.
Correct.
That's why I write and I do what I do, because that's going to be my legacy. the legacy of leaving something behind, knowing that people are going to still relate to it maybe 50, 20, 30 years later.
That's nice. That's nice. That's why your job is so important. To me, it's just important. First of all, you're an artist, so you express yourself. I mean, from inside out, inside out. And then you've been learning from all these people, all the different techniques, like we said. Martha Cooper, have you had a chance to little chat with her?
Although I spoke to Nina Kramer.
And yes, she's a little more approachable.
Yeah, because she's a legend. Like Martha Cooper, she's a legend. So yes. I was like,
oh yeah,
not really. No,
oh yeah, you were tongue-tied. You were a little intimidated.
Yeah, because she was like, Nina told me, if you ever happen to tell her something that you want to tell her something, that the time is now. Because, I mean, Martha is around 81 or 82 years old, and she never stops. Never stops. Nina Kramer is like always right by her side in case something happens. But Martha Cooper, from what I've heard and what I've seen, she doesn't take any limits. She doesn't like limits. Limits are off her limit. Limits are off her grade. Like, she doesn't really want to get stopped. And I didn't know much about her. I didn't know that she was such an icon for picturing stuff from the 70s and the 80s. And I understand, like, some people don't agree with it, but it's part of our history. Denying an artist or somebody to write their name down or doing anything that they want to do on their wall, it's like denying their whole existence and their whole creativity. Because back then, I was telling my sister this minutes before our podcast, back then we didn't have much rules about anything. We were cavemen, we were Romans, we were Egyptians. We were not having so many protocols, so many stuff going on around it, and we were like freer, right? More free, more prone to do anything. But nowadays, it's like we are so restricted. We are even with social media, even with, like, I'm talking about in general, like, even if you want to speak your mind out, it's a little bit, censored. And with graffiti,
it could be very censored. Yes.
Yeah, depending on the context, of course. Yeah. But with graffiti, it's like, it's just a quick action that shouldn't be like seen as something bad or just an expression from the soul.
Graffiti, no, but then the tagging, it's like, okay, a little vandals.
Yeah, the tagging is where people...
we are here in Wynwood where everything is pretty much free for all.
Yes.
But as soon as you get out of Wynwood and some other neighborhood in Miami where you can tag, but be careful, be on the lookout.
Yeah, so if any people like younger than me wants to tag, go to Wynwood first, get to know the people, but then practice in your backyard.
Exactly. And learn the rules, the street rules. Not going over someone, not tagging over someone. There's some unwritten rules in the street art, in the graffiti, especially in the graffiti world, that are very, very, very important, that you don't want to mess with those guys.
And always credit your artists. Always.
Absolutely. This is how I started the project. I saw, like I tell the people on the podcast, I had a publication 10 years ago called Talking Off the Wall. And to me, when I started the project, when I came to Wynwood 12 years ago, one of the main focus was, of course, as a photographer, I was trying to take nice pictures of the buildings. But like you said, giving credit to the artist. Mm-hmm. Because otherwise, if there was no beautiful art on a wall or art anywhere, I wouldn't be taking pictures. Thank you so much for these few minutes, for whatever you do, for this job that you have, for the passion that you have. Like I say, I really feel it. I really, really feel it in you. And this is very crucial. We mentioned Ryan. Ryan has a real sense of community. Like you say, he's an OG. He's been giving tours around Wynwood, around Miami. 10 years ago, he called me. He said, Pascal, I have a group of French people. I need your help. So we all went on a bike tour, and he was telling stuff in English. Most people did not understand, so I had to come up with a translation. That was a fun experience.
And it's part of that. It's part of actually uniting different cultures and understanding that we're all human after all. We're human. We are here to understand each other. And if there's something that you don't understand, it's okay not to understand, but it's okay to actually hear somebody out, somebody's questions and doubts. And
take the time to listen to people.
Yes.
You have to take the time to listen, people. I mean, in the world that we're living in, things are so quick.
It's part of the anxiety and how we're so globalized that we keep moving around and we never stop. But the arts makes you have a moment of relaxation. And people tell me, this is so therapeutic. I love spray painting. Of course, that's how we do, why we do it, and how we are going to keep doing it for I don't know how many years, but I hope it's forever.
Forever, for sure.
It'll be forever. Sure. I'll be like Martha Cooper at 81 years old, and I'm gonna still like tack on the walls and do my graffiti.
Of course, and then you're gonna become an artist, hopefully, and then you're gonna do your masterpiece. I'm waiting for that.
No, I'm more than ready for that. I think I've done like some logos and stuff in my job, but I think I'm ready for the next level thing, for the top level.
So do you have a black book? Do you practice in a black book? Because I do
a lot of sketchbooks. I do have a lot of sketchbooks, and I practice a lot at my job at the street art experience, where people can actually spray paint for 3 to 2 minutes and a half. So I practice every day, and every day is just a learning experience for me, because I talk to people just like you. I talk to people from all over the world, and they are fascinated, and art is the number one thing that unites people.
It does unify people, and it creates memories. To me, it's something so important to create memories. People were here in Miami. They decided to spend a few hours in Wynwood. They're going to explore Wynwood. They might go to a brewery. They might go to a restaurant. They may have a taco. They may have things. But then they're going to go to Wynwood Walls, and then they're going to have an experience. Yeah. This is an experience, and this is memories that they are creating of one day they were with some family members or with some friends, and whatever you tell the people, this is what they're going to remember about it.
And people remember how it made them feel, how they get connected to the arts, and most importantly, how grateful it makes me feel, because I get to be here in the most artistic venue of them all, like that I've seen. People tell me I've never seen such a thing like this, not even in New York back then in the 80s and the 70s. It was a huge deal, but not as much anymore because of the restrictions.
Yes.
But nowadays they do see it a lot more over here. So
Wynwood is a quite special place, yes, to say the least. So, Alessandra, thank you so much for this time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your work, for everything. And once again, I'm going to have to follow you on a tour one of these days. This is what I told you. I want to hear exactly what you tell the people.
It's a whole experience.
And I want to hear the question that they have, because I'm accustomed to see those paintings. I know some of the artists. I've seen the walls. But then the behind the story, but the behind of the scene that you know that you had the chance to experience during the Miami Art Week in December, this is something quite special. So thank you so much for this podcast.
Thank you so much for the time.
I am extremely honored to have you on the podcast. Keep up the good job. This community, it's so tight. We're all working towards the same goal. We all have the same passion for the art. And then we express it in a different way. I had a publication for 2 years. I've been doing pop-up shows, coloring books, shows with kids and everything. And now I'm into this podcast. So this is a way for me to share this community. And I'm so grateful for the people who come on board on the podcast and tell us their stories.
And we thank you so much for your time. And thank you for the things you're doing for the community. Wynwood has developed so much that we are just including emerging new artists like me. So hopefully I can come back and tell you all the new projects.
There's plenty of space for anybody. You have a little bit of creativity in you, but I'm always so excited of discovering new people, new faces, new art. So you are part of that next generation.
Yeah,
thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Have a great day. All right, guys, thank you so much for this podcast. This is for today. We will see you next week with another artist, another friend. We'll see you then. Bye-bye now. Thanks.